there was something that I wanted to go a little bit deeper into, and that was the whole part about your values, your core values to be specific, and how they create your reality, what your values really are, how they relate to your purpose, and why they're dangerous to tap into if you're not ready for the change. Now, of course, I have my notes written down here, so if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. If you see me looking up, it's because I'm receiving a download and I'm just trying to put it into words, okay? Just to give you a little insight on me. By the way, I'm Jamila, the Winged Alchemist, coming to you today with the Alchemist's Perspective podcast, okay? This is a podcast episode. So if you like it, like the video. And if you like me and you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. And if you like me and you like the video and you already are subscribed, leave a comment down below because I genuinely want to hear from you, okay? Okay. So yesterday I talked a little bit about 5 micro habits that you can do in your day that are very simple. They take no more than 5 minutes and can quantum shift your entire reality. Now, the reason why I wanted to focus on values is because when you tap into your values, I think that's the quantum shift in itself. A few things happen that make it very dangerous to tap into if you're not ready for the change. And I say dangerous because a lot more discomfort comes into play. A lot more internal tension comes into play because when you tap into your values, you tap into your truth, you tap into your heart, you tap into your soul and your spirit. And those values help to align you, just as a radio, with the frequency that your soul genuinely wants to express itself in this reality, in this human experience, this reality identity based experience that we have here on earth. And why I say reality identity is because reality is just on the other side of the coin of identity. Or how should I say? Reality and identity are 2 sides to the same coin. You shift your identity, you shift your reality. You shift how you see yourself, you shift your reality. So I feel like this video is going to be most beneficial to those of you who might be feeling stuck. And I use the word stuck because we all kind of use that word, but stuck isn't the word that I really want to use here. I think how I really want to express this concept is really that you are stationed, really, you are stationed within a zone of tolerance. This zone of tolerance is your comfort zone. You are stationed in this zone and you are constantly reworking, or you're constantly, what's the word? Like ciphering your energy just in this zone of tolerance alone. And the longer and the more that you siphon your energy in this space, you happen to attach to a certain identity. Now, you can do this unconsciously, or you can do this very consciously. Most of us who are feeling stuck, not me, but when we are feeling stuck, or most of you who are feeling stuck, you are ciphering your energy within a certain zone of tolerance, and you are attaching yourself to a specific identity. What happens when you exist in this zone of tolerance? You constantly think the same thoughts, cycle. You constantly do the same things, cycle. You hold on to the same beliefs, okay? It's just this like consistent, repetitive cycle of just the same information over and over. Now, When you say, okay, I'm going to tap into my values now, right? I'm going to do this work. And it's a lot deeper than just saying, oh, my core values are freedom, authenticity, and I don't know, truth and love. It's deeper than that, than just throwing words at a paper or at a screen or at a mirror. It's much deeper than that. And I really encourage you, if you're really looking to do this work, go down below to my Patreon shop, okay? The digital downloads. Go there, click the link, and really download my core values alignment workbook. This is so much deeper. This is like a journal. This is like a workbook and a journal, and just this like identity shift in itself. It is a process of shifting how you see yourself and how you interact with your reality. Okay? It's a lot deeper than just saying, oh, these are my values. Okay? But why I wanted to, if you're really looking to get out of this stationary space that you were in, I always suggest tuning into your values and actually reflecting on how much these values, how much they resonate with you, and then how much do they or do they not genuinely apply to your outer reality and to your outer relationships, or even with the relationship with yourself. A lot of us have certain core values, but they are sitting underneath a whole lot of like programmed ish that you are genuinely embodying, or that you are actually embodying, but means absolutely nothing to you. And when you start to reflect on those things, you start to ask yourself why. That's when you start getting your answers. Some of those answers might look like, well, I had to assume this identity in order to survive in this situation. For me, it's fawning. I had that thing where I wanted to avoid conflict. And so I just shut my mouth and allow whatever happened to happen. And I was like screaming inside. I was suffering because whatever was happening clearly didn't align with my values, clearly. But I was so overwhelmed that the best thing that I thought I can do to protect myself, because I was afraid of feeling that anger, the best thing I could have done was just to submit. That was me before. And it took me time to get out of that. It took me time to get out of that because I had to get real with myself. When you tap into your core values, you're tapping into your truth. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna kind of mention this a little bit. I don't know if they're watching, but I'm gonna mention it anyway. With one of my current clients, I had them do or actually work through my core values alignment workbook, and in just a matter of 2 weeks, the amount of stuff that has changed, the amount of responsibility that they're beginning to take in regards to some of the recent decisions that they made in a very unconscious state, it's like they're seriously waking up and asking themselves, wait a minute, how did I get there? And I know this story sounds kind of familiar because I briefly mentioned it in one of my last vlogs about what happened when I started tuning into my kidneys and doing the kidney breathing and tuning into my lungs. I briefly talked about how I too woke up. It was like I woke up one morning, looked at the person I was dating and was like, why? Why am I here? This isn't for me. Our values don't align. I looked around and I said, wait a second, why am I still in this apartment? It's been time for me to move past this. Like, why are we here? We have things to do. We have a whole other frequency to play out, but yet you have me stuck here. And that's exactly the experience that my client is currently going through. And it's honestly a beautiful thing to see. I can see that it's genuinely uncomfortable because you have to be honest with yourself about some of these decisions and say, wow, I don't really know why I chose this because I don't want it. I didn't want it, but I chose it. It's really making you think deep about your decisions. And when you start thinking deep about your decisions, you start to become intentional about them. Intentionality is where we want you to direct your energy. Become intentional about your thoughts. Become intentional about your actions. Become intentional about the kind of work you're choosing. Become intentional about the things that you genuinely want to create. Become intentional about your beliefs. Become intentional about your relationship with God. Become intentional about your relationship with the universe, with the Creator, with your Creator. Become intentional about that. It's important. The more that you do it, the more you're able to trust the unknown. That's like a really big purpose in why we should all have a belief in a higher power or in our higher selves. Because it helps you, it takes you out of scarcity. Now, coming back to the core values piece, once you identify and clarify your core values, something happens. Now, earlier I did talk a little bit about when you turn into your core values, life can suddenly become or feel very uncomfortable. And the reason why this happens is because you're now starting to look, literally, you're now starting to view your world with a fresh, unfiltered lens. You are staring at truth at this point. You are conscious of the fact that you are looking at a mirror. Now, when you're seeing truth, you're realizing that the choices that you've made in your relationships and all the things, like I said, they just don't fit anymore. And that's okay, because that process of understanding what doesn't fit, so what happens is you become clearer and more finely tuned in to anything that doesn't align. It actually really stands out almost in a sharper, more jarring contrast. Like you can see it. Again, yesterday you may not have been able to see it because you were asleep. You were living unconsciously in this cipher, in this zone of tolerance, just unconsciously ciphering the same energy, right? But the moment you broaden your awareness, the moment you tune into your heart and you realize, wait a second, my values are this, and this world doesn't align. What happens is the illusion shatters. Now, before you clearly defined your values, you might have accepted, like I said, you might have just accepted things. You might have ignored a lot of things that didn't resonate with you. You may have ignored a lot of things that did not resonate with you. But once you name and you prioritize your values, you welcome the energy the entity or the frequency of that thing to permeate through your being and in turn reflect in your reality. The illusion shatters because that contrast just becomes way too obvious to ignore. And trust me, that is a beautiful thing. Now, what happens is these values that you set become your new standards for everything that you allow into your life. These values become your new standards with the husband or the wife you're calling in. These values become the new standard with the friendships you're calling in. These values become the new standard with the kind of work you choose to do. I mean, that completely shifts because now your career becomes predicated upon your purpose because your values are directly tied to your purpose. They become predicated upon your purpose. Things expand. Now you're not just thinking about, oh my gosh, I need to make a certain amount so I can pay for the mortgage, because that way of thinking is going to keep you stuck. That way of thinking is going to keep you ignoring some of the things that you're having to do that goes against your morals sometimes, goes against your internal boundaries that has just been coded into the soul. Like, it goes against all that you're supposed to be, or all that you should be, all that you're supposed to be becoming, all that you're supposed to be growing into. And that's why I also will always use natal chart readings in my coaching, because we can clearly define what your purpose is in alignment with the soul based off of this energetic blueprint, the natal chart. I'm an intuitive reader. I don't consider myself to be an astrologer, but I've never had a reading where someone said, nah, that's not right. I know how to intuitively connect with my divine client counterpart, and also see that in the chart. Once you've created new standards for yourself, you've just told yourself, or you've just energetically set that you're no longer willing to settle. You're no longer willing to settle. Now, this is the thing. When you, again, what often ends up happening as well is uncomfortable realizations about yourself, about your personality, about your identity. They're uncomfortable because you have to be honest. You have to be able to say, you know what? I've been honestly not choosing that. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I've just been so against it. And I realized the reason why I've been so against it is because I was really running from myself. Uncomfortable realizations. Sometimes they're hard to go through on your own, and you need someone, there to help you through it. But it can be very uncomfortable to recognize what's in your shadow side, to recognize what's in the shadow that needs to come to light. And a great place to start doing that is to tune into your values. Great place to start doing that. Now, for those of you who are experiencing that discomfort, and you might not really understand what it really means, and I mean discomfort like it's getting kind of hard to wake up and do the things that you've been doing for the past X amount of time. It's getting kind of hard for you to, wake up and to deal with this person in your life. It's getting hard for you to deal. The illusion is falling before you, and you're almost feeling very overwhelmed because you have no idea what to do, because you've never done it before. You've never given yourself the opportunity to be honest. You've never given yourself the opportunity to tune into what your truths are and to actually allow yourself to embody them. That's the whole idea, is learning how to embody your values. Not say them to everybody, not go around in the world and say, these are my values, but to embody the values. when you embody the values, that's when you know or you begin to activate the ROS, the nervous system, the organs, your aura, your magnetism. The spirit is your spirit is able to permeate through you and do what it do in how it assists the universe in conspiring in your favor. Yes, creating your new reality. You don't have to know how it all happens. You just have to do the work as you're being guided to. And let me leave you with the one core value that you should really adopt. And that core value is obedience. Not obedience in the traditional sense that we all understand, like obedience to an authority. I mean, kind of, because this authority is your higher self. You want to become obedient to the authority of your higher self. When your intuition starts talking, you want to be obedient to that. I don't care how sweet it looks over there or how sweet that person looks. When the intuition says, that's not for you, do this, you got to learn to listen. You got to learn how to listen and to act accordingly. Okay? Obedience is a very, very strong core value, and I really use that. That is what, that's like at the, I was going to say precipice, that's not the word, but that's at the foundation of all the great transformations that I'm making or that I have made in my life. That obedience in itself. And that's what I feel like my 20s were all about. It was all about learning how to be obedient to that higher knowledge or that higher power that I know is me. I know is me before my identity. That is me. And so the more that I'm able to tune into my truth, the easier it becomes to quantum shift your reality. So anyways, I hope this all makes sense. I didn't want this video to be too long. Once again, if you like the video. And if you have something to say, actually comment down below, because I want to talk to y'all in the comments. So comment down below. And if you're new here, subscribe to my channel, because I don't know, these days I've just been being obedient to my higher self, and apparently there's some things that I have to say. So I'm showing up for y'all. And if you're enjoying it, again, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.